Messi! Messi!
Gonna heave one is a pick, and Pat Garrity
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jacob Redner here alongside Noah Cameras and Ariel Putterman, and welcome back to this week's episode of dTSPN. This past week we had the NFL Conference Championship games, two games that were not close at all, but we are still going to talk about them. The first one in the NFC was the Packers and the Falcons. A lot of people, including myself, picked against the Falcons, and I was sorely wrong, but what can we take away from this game? Tell us a little bit what happened.
Yeah, well, this was the last home game in the Georgia Dome for the Falcons, so the fans were crazy there. They wanted this win so badly, and the Falcons came out, and they're for real. I mean, I had no idea. Like you said, last week I was sick, so I wasn't here, but my personal prediction, I had the Packers in basically a blowout, and I was completely wrong. The Falcons showed how good they are. Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, I mean, coming into the year, people were saying he's going to be a bust. You shouldn't draft in fantasy football. He's not going to lead the Falcons anywhere, and he's leading them to the Super Bowl. So the Falcons showed they're for real. This was a huge game. This is going to be an exciting Super Bowl.
And something I want to talk about is we saw obviously great offense from the Falcons, but what can we learn from this game that may have been attributed to the lack of defense from the Packers, or was this an offense like that we can trust going forward?
I mean, we know the Packers have a terrible secondary. It was shown this game. Julio Jones just went off. 9 receptions, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Falcons did show that no matter who they'll play, they'll put up points. I mean, they played the Seahawks the week before, and they got 36 points against them. Right. So I think it's going to be hard to stop this Falcons offense when they're playing at this high level.
Going over to the AFC Championship, we have the Steelers and the Patriots. Another game that was not close at all. Patriots won that one. I did finally pick a team right, but what can we learn from this game? Patriots going into the Super Bowl, what's going to happen?
I think we just know that how good Brady is. He turned Chris Hogan, who was a lacrosse player in college, into the top player of that game. He had 180 yards, 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns, which is unheard of, especially for someone like Chris Hogan. And I think that for the Steelers, Bell getting hurt might have been a problem for them. He's a big part of their offense. D'Angelo Williams didn't really step up this year. So I think that it'll be good for the Steelers in the offseason. They'll have their healthy team. I think they've got a bright future, but the Patriots, they're just too much right now.
I mean, what we really need to talk about right now, though, is that can you blame this game on the fact that Le'Veon Bell did not play? I mean, he obviously is a huge piece of the offense, and he obviously accounts for well over 100 yards every game and potentially multiple touchdowns. But can you say that if he had played this entire game, the Steelers would have won the game?
I don't think so. The Patriots just looked so dominant the whole time. I think it was a lot more on the defense because they couldn't stop Tom Brady. The Patriots receivers just kept getting open. So I think Bell would have been good for the Steelers. I don't think it would be enough for them to win.
So unlike last week, we are not actually going to give predictions for the Super Bowl this week. We are going to do that in next week's episode, in our Super Bowl preview episode. So for you guys to hear that and to hear some really good in-depth talk about the Super Bowl game and what we think is going to happen, make sure to tune in next week for the Super Bowl preview. So staying in the NFL, we are going to talk about our first mock draft of the year. It's our mock draft 1.0. We're going to give the top 10 teams who they're going to potentially take. And we'll obviously go through this again multiple times throughout the offseason, and we're going to talk about who we think is going to get drafted at what position as things start to change. But this is going to be our first preliminary version of the draft. Our first guy going to the Browns after a horrible season, they won 1 game, is Myles Garrett. Tell us a little bit about why we're picking him to go first and who he really is.
He's a tremendous player. He's the top player in this draft for sure. I think the Browns can't pass up on him. He's too good. He's a tremendous pass rusher. He's able to rush the quarterback. I think that he's the best player. And I think he's the right pick for these Browns.
Moving over to the second pick, we have your 49ers. Who are they going to take? Why are they going to take him?
Right now we have Deshaun Watson. As a Niner fan, I'm hoping they take Deshaun Watson. Now, you saw in the national championship game, he knows how to win games. He knows how to bring his team back. He knows how to be the best player in college football. And even though he didn't win the Heisman, I think besides Lamar Jackson, he was the best player in college football. He can run, he can pass, he can create for his teammates, and when it comes down to the big moment, he can step up big time.
So here's something I want to talk about on the second pick right here, and it's that if the Browns make a bad pick, which they've clearly proven they know how to do, and they skip up on Garrett, and they don't take him first, do the Niners take Garrett, or do they take a quarterback?
I think the Niners have to take Garrett if he's available. I mean, like you said, he's a freakish talent. I mean, you don't see players like this come out very often. He has the potential to be one of the best, probably the best in this draft, one of the best maybe defensive ends ever, depending on how he pans out. So I think you have to take that kind of special talent.
So moving over to the third pick of the draft, we have the Bears. Another quarterback situation. Who are they going to take?
Yeah, they don't like color anymore. They're ready to move on. And in comes Mitch Trubisky from North Carolina. He's a really NFL-ready quarterback. He's got all the attributes of a good quarterback, and I think that he'll be good for this Bear team.
So over to the 4th pick, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going defense as opposed to offense. Tell us why they're going to do that.
Well, they're going to go defense right now. They have a really young, good defense. They drafted Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey last year and to really solidify that defense. And now that we have them going Jonathan Allen, the defensive lineman out of Alabama, he's another really big talent. Some people might think he'll also go up 1 or 2. We don't know about that yet. But he's a huge talent. He plays some really good defense on the line. And I think that the Jaguars are going to think defense at the beginning and maybe switch to offense in the later rounds.
Moving over to the Tennessee Titans, we have them taking also another defensive player. Who and why?
Well, this pick is actually a trade from the Rams, who traded that pick for Jared Goff last year. So this is a win for the Titans. I think that they take a defensive player. I think Jamal Adams. Last year, their offense was really good with Marco Murray. And I think that in order to take that next step, they need to get that good defensive player. And I think Jamal Adams is that guy.
Over to the 6th pick of the draft, we have the New York Jets. Who are they going to take and why are they going to take him?
We have them taking quarterback Deshaun Kaiser out of Notre Dame. Now, last year Notre Dame was 4-8, and Deshaun Kaiser had pretty good stats. Now, I don't really know what people see in him as much. I mean, NFL scouts love him. They have him really high in this draft. Now, the Jets, they need a quarterback, obviously. They have Petty and Fitzpatrick last year. Neither panned out. So they're going to go Deshaun Kaiser, hope he can bring some sort of skill to their team, maybe the running aspect, which can throw defenses off. But that's why we have him going to the Jets.
Going over to the 7th pick, we have the other Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Chargers, and they're going to go lineman. Why?
I think they need that. Phillip Rivers was pressured a lot last year. He's getting old, so he needs that help. I think Cam Robinson is a great offensive lineman. I think he's the best one in this draft, and I think the Chargers need to pick him in this selection.
Going over to the 8th pick, we have the Carolina Panthers, who had an absolutely horrible season coming off of their championship year. Who are they going to take and why?
And we have them taking Leonard Fournette, the running back out of LSU. And just imagine for a second a backfield that you have Cam Newton, a huge 270-pound quarterback, taking the snap, and then you have another 200-plus pound running back, Leonard Fournette, who's known for trucking defenders. I mean, I think this is a perfect move. Jonathan Stewart's on the decline right now, and I think Leonard Fournette could be a future star in this league, an Adrian Peterson type player, and I think the Panthers are going to take a chance on him and really get a playmaker.
So I don't want to move on so quickly from this one, and I want to talk about Jonathan Stewart. And I don't think, while I do recognize he's on the decline, I don't think he's at his prime anymore. He's obviously not the same running back he used to be, but is Jonathan Stewart still going to factor into this backfield if they pick Fournette, and if so, what's going to be the plan back there?
I mean, yeah, Jonathan Stewart will still be part of their backfield. I don't think they're just going to get rid of him and go Fournette 100%. I mean, I think Fournette will still need time to get into the league and slowly get into the NFL mindset. But Jonathan Stewart, I mean, he's on the decline, and I personally haven't think he's been good in a few years. I mean, he had a good year 2 years ago when they had that Super Bowl run, almost won the Super Bowl, lost to the Broncos. But I think it's time for them to get a new running back, maybe a franchise-type running back, and I think Leonard Fournette's their guy.
So could it be a trade situation? I mean, Fournette is a great running back, and we could see him come into the league and be something great. I mean, like he is in college right now, and does that constitute a trade where they give up Jonathan Stewart to give Fournette some time in the backfield?
I mean, they could. It's really up to whoever really wants Jonathan Stewart. I mean, I don't think a lot of teams are itching to get Jonathan Stewart right now that he's not playing the highest football. But if they find a partner and want to get him off and give Leonard Fournette the go-ahead, then I think they should do it.
Going over to the 9th pick of the draft, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, and they are going to take who and why?
They're going to take Solomon Thomas. He's a defensive end at Stanford, and he abused Mitch Trubisky in their bowl game. And Mitch Trubisky's rated higher than him, so I think he'll be good for this Bengals team that focus on defense. He'll be good with Atkins and Dunlap on that defensive line.
Lastly, the one we're going to talk about is number 10, the Buffalo Bills. Who are they going to take and why?
They're going to take wide receiver Mike Williams out of Clemson. Now, if you watch the national championship game, you obviously saw Deshaun Watson play well, but Mike Williams, he's a huge receiver. He's a big target. He'd be like a Calvin Johnson type player. And the Bills, they have Watkins on one end, and the other end's been a little iffy. And I think if they put Mike Williams there, you have a big guy. Watkins more of a speed guy, and right there you have a massive tandem of two receivers. They also need a quarterback though. But if the three quarterbacks go Watson, Trubisky, and Kaiser, like we said, they're not going to take a risk on a quarterback there.
Our final segment of the day is going to be our NBA hot topic of the week, and it's going to be Russell Westbrook once again. We talked about him last week, him versus James Harden. We had a great conversation about that. Still, guys, feel free if you want to comment your thoughts about that. Definitely let us know on the bottom of this video or in the comments of the previous video, just so we can get a good conversation about that going. But something else we want you guys to get involved with is Russell Westbrook, and should he be a starter in the All-Star game? If so, who should he start over?
I think 100% yes. I think this was a huge mistake. I don't think Steph Curry has any business being in the All-Star game. Now, don't get me wrong. Steph Curry is a great player, one of the greatest players in the league right now. But this year, when Kevin Durant came in, he took kind of a backseat. He hasn't been the same player. And I know he still has the skills, but when Kevin Durant came in, he realized this is not going to be about me. I think Kevin Durant's the best player on the Warriors right now. And Russell Westbrook's averaging a triple-double, a 30-point triple-double right now. And if he's not in the All-Star game, that just shows how much of a fan vote this is and how how biased this is, because Stephen Curry is not better than the rest of us.
So what I want to talk about, with that being said, and we're going to go over to you for this one, it's going to be that Steph Curry is the face of your fans came through to get you into the All-Star game. He is not having an All-Star season, and even if he is, it's as a bench role. It's not as a starter. And what do fans do going forward? What should the NBA do going forward to prevent things from like this going on?
I think it should be based on stats. I think it should be based on how the team's doing, because we saw Steph Curry came first in the fan vote. You know who also came in the top in the fan vote? Zaza Pachulia. And he has been nothing this year. So I just think that in the future they should do less on the fan vote, even though it engages the fans, and more on the players and the teams that vote.
But there's a problem with that, because they did try to switch it this year and give the players votes, and then people like Michael Beasley are getting 6 votes. And Steve Kerr came out and he said, like, this isn't, like, the players are making a mockery of this. Like, they're just voting people in just for the fun of it. So I think you really have to find the balance. I think it's good to get the fans involved, but the fans should not have this much power, because when you do it, Zaza Pachulia gets in the All-Star game. And I mean, he's not in the starter right now, but, like, he shouldn't have that much of a vote. So it's that kind of thing that I think they're going to have to find a way to fix to get the best players in the All-Star game.
So a very strong argument that we do hope you guys engage in at home. We definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, and we will definitely comment back to you guys if you guys let us know what you think. With that being said, that does wrap it up for us this week on dTSPN. We will see you next week for our episode on the Super Bowl preview. See you guys later.
That felt really good.
Anyone
Very
here
good.
Really sweaty?
Yes.
Yeah, just a little
Okay.
bit. How long was that, though?